Alright everyone, welcome to term 2 of maths, your first lesson back. Just because you're at home and I'm at home, we're all at home, doesn't mean we can't keep learning maths and having fun with it. So all of my students from 7B, it's really, really good to see you guys again. I'm really happy to see you, and 7A, well, you're here too watching this video. So what we're going to be doing is running some lessons for you from the comfort of our homes. We're going to be running 3 lessons a week. So you'll see videos from myself or Miss Searle, or sometimes we'll just find a video that's already out there on the internet that teaches the stuff a bit better. We'll get you to watch the video, follow along with the worked examples, maybe put some stuff in your glossaries from them, and then we'll set a bunch of questions for you that you'll be able to download from the Google Classroom. You'll be able to write the answers in your book. We'll upload the answers as well, so you'll be able to check your work, but will be available according to the timetable, the new timetable that we've sent out. So when you've got maths class on your timetable, we'll be expecting to hear from you. If you've got any questions or concerns about maths and how it's going, we'll be happy to answer those questions then. We're always happy to answer questions outside of those times as well, but we'll be always available for you guys when Year 7 maths is on the timetable. So with all that said, let's get on with our first lesson. Let's learn about fractions. That's what we're going to mainly be doing term 2. It's fraction term. So we have a pretty straightforward lesson for you for your first one. Right, we're going to ease you into it. Now, shake off that rust from these holidays that you've just been on. So what we're learning today is to be able to just know the names of the different parts of the fractions and to just write down a few fractions from some given scenarios. So to be successful today, you've only got to be able to do 2 things. The first thing you have to know how to do is name the numerator in a fraction and name the denominator. You've got to be able to tell the different parts of a fraction apart. And we're going to give you some basic written scenarios, and you've just got to write down the fractions from those scenarios. Pretty straightforward. So before we get into the actual learning of this lesson today, I'm just going to carry on for a minute. Usually when this screen shows up on the board and say the 15 students in my class walk into the room, I reckon it'd be about 9 of the 15 of you that would walk into the room and just straight up say, I hate fractions. Fractions are stupid. And we just got to cut that out right away. Okay, we've got to get rid of that negativity towards fractions, because all a fraction is part of a whole number. So if you say you hate fractions, what you're basically saying is that you hate part of something. You don't like having things that aren't whole. So an example of that would be, say there's like it's your birthday and there's a beautiful birthday cake that your mummy's made for you. As soon as somebody takes a slice out of that cake, that means you hate that cake now, because that is a fraction of a cake. So you don't hate fractions, you don't hate parts of things, you can cut that out. They're a bit harder to work with in maths than whole numbers. They're more complicated than whole numbers, but you don't hate them. They're very important because they're parts of numbers, and they actually help us know how much of something we've got when we don't have a whole number. So the first thing you're expected to learn from this unit of work on fractions is that there is a numerator, there is a denominator. One's on the top, one's on the bottom. You got to know which one's which. So if you want to be really, really organized and do things the right way, we've got this slide for you. So I've written out this heading in my own handwriting to show that that's what you should be doing yourself. This is a slide that goes in your glossary if you manage to take your glossary home and you didn't leave it at school, because you might have to answer questions related to this down the track. So pretty simple. The numerator is on top, the denominator is on the bottom. The denominator is the most important part, and that's always where you start, because the denominator tells you how many equal parts you split your whole into. So if I cut something into 3 pieces, I put a 3 on the bottom because I'm working with thirds. The numerator is what you'll be working with when you're adding and subtracting usually. That's just the number of parts you actually have. So if I ate 2/3 of a cake, it means I took a cake and I cut it into 3 pieces and I ate 2 of them. So there's a denominator of 3 because there were 3 pieces, and a numerator of 2 because I ate 2 of them. So the second thing we want you to do today, after knowing that, is to be able to just write some fractions from some sentences, from some words. So what you'll find is these questions are pretty easy as long as you actually know how many things you're working with or how many pieces you're working with. Because if you know how many pieces something's cut into, that's the denominator of your fraction. Okay, so we've got 4 examples to do here. A and B are about my little people collection. So we want to know how many Toy Story little people are in my collection. So this is a really, really easy question. As long as you know how many little people I have in my little people collection, and then you just have to figure out how many were in Toy Story. So I know the answer, but for you guys to know the answer, I'll probably have to show you my collection. So let's see, we've got Forky, little people. We've got, I think that's Elsa. We've got this big one here. This is Sven. We've got Rex. There he is. We've got, this is Bo Peep. I think she's lost her sheep. This is Kristoff. Hello, Kristoff. This one's Olaf, one of my favorites. This one's Anna. This is the teacher from Little People, so it's Miss Searle, I think. This one's Buzz Lightyear. This one is Ducky. And I've got Woody. Okay, so you would have kept count at that point, I'm sure, and you would have realized that there are 12 little people in my collection. I've been out shopping, and I've bought 12 of them, which means to answer this question, you just need to put a denominator of 12, because that's how many little people are in my collection. Or my collection is cut into 12 equal pieces, because these are all the same as each other, really. So then, if I want to know how many Toy Story ones there were, well, we just got to go through them again. So Woody, Rex, Forky, Bo Peep, Buzz, Ducky. I put Elsa in that group. I think that's it. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 out of 12. Um, this is probably spoiling a future episode, but 6 out of 12 isn't a nice fraction. We don't like leaving 6 out of 12 as 6 out of 12. It's half of them. 6 is half of 12, which means this does simplify, right? We will do a lesson on simplifying down the track, but this is half, okay? 6 out of 12 would be good enough for our first lesson, but we really know that 6 out of 12 is a half. So now that we've counted everything up for part A, part B should be pretty straightforward. My frozen little people in my collection, well, we're talking about the same collection as in part A. So we still have 12 toys in my collection, and my frozen ones, there's 5. So 5 out of 12 is the answer to B. Here we go. So we had 6 of them, 5 of them. That's 11 of my 12, and that just leaves, again, Miss Searle by herself in a group of 1. All right, so part C is about eating half of a Domino's pizza. I mean, the word half's already in it, right? So half of a Domino's pizza is half. But I was thinking about Domino's pizzas, one, because I had one last night. It was good. But also because most people know how many pieces they're cut into, because it's pretty traditional. A Domino's pizza comes cut into 8 pieces. So if I'm talking about specifically a Domino's pizza, and I don't care about the most simplified version of the fraction, which again is a half, we could figure this out. So if I get a Domino's pizza with 8 equal slices, because they managed to actually cut it into equal pieces for once, if I eat half of my pizza, how many slices will I have eaten? Well, half of 8 is 4, so 4 out of 8. Then the last one, you might get a few questions that kind of look like this. What fraction of this shape is shaded in? To find the denominator, you should just count how many pieces go all the way around. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 5 of them are shaded in, right? So we've almost won our game of Trivial Pursuit. There we go. All right, to finish this lesson off, I just created a couple of examples just to emphasize the point that you really want to think about your denominator first, your number on the bottom of your fraction, and that making a fraction is pretty easy, and you can do it as long as you know how many things there are in your whole. So most of your questions will kind of assume you've got a bit of knowledge about the world and the way it works, and that you know how many things go into kind of common, months or weeks or whatever. So question 1, what is the fraction of days that Mr. Begg will stay at home in April? To get this question right, you got to get your denominator right. You've just got to know how many days are in April. So I think there's 30. And then because of our social distancing restrictions, the answer will be 30. Right, but the main part is that I knew that there were 30 days in April, so I'll put 30 in the bottom. This does simplify, so we'll write the simplified answer. You don't have to worry about that yet, but that would be 30 out of 30. Probably a more sensible example, how many days of the week have a T in their name? You've got to know how many days there are in the week, and I know the days are all blurring together for us right now, but weeks still have 7 days in them. So we'll put a 7 down the bottom, that's our denominator, because that's our whole week broken into 7 equal pieces. And how many days of the week have a T in them? Well, Monday doesn't, Tuesday does, Wednesday doesn't, Thursday does, Friday doesn't, Saturday does, and Sunday doesn't. So we'll say it's 3 out of 7, and hopefully that's right. All right, now that the lesson's taught, it's time to do some work. So what that looks like for you guys, there's going to be a PDF that's uploaded to Google Classroom alongside this video. It's going to look a little something like this. Okay, so it's chapter exercise 4A, page 59 and page 60 from one of our master maths textbooks that we use sometimes. So you'll be going through from question 1 through to question 14. It sounds like a lot, but when you get into them, you realize they're pretty quick and pretty straightforward. And what we expect from you guys is that you've taken your maths exercise book home, your writing book, and that you'll be working in that. So to make sure you're nice and organized, we'll just go over the basics. So you should have your book in front of you. I'd suggest, just like we do in class, make sure your book's nicely ruled up. Okay, at the start of your lesson, you should be writing down the date. Okay, so you can keep track of your work and you don't get mixed up. It's the 7th of the 4th today while I'm making it. You guys will be doing it next week. And we'll start with question 1, right? We'll write down our first answer. Okay, so our first question, what fraction of each diagram is shaded? This one's in 2 pieces and 1 is shaded. So I'd be getting my pen and I'd be saying that that is a half, yeah? So what you really should be doing is going all the way through from question 1. That's 1A as well. That's terrible handwriting, be neater than me. All the way from question 1 through to question 14. And then when you get to the end of those questions, you should open the other PDF, the other file, which will have all of the answers to exercise 4A. And if you find yourself having trouble with any of these questions or any of the questions in future lessons, then that's the time to get on to us, to send us a Zuno message or an email or however we're communicating. I think you can do it through Google Classroom as well. Send us a message and we'll get on to you and we'll try and help you through your work so you're not stuck. We'll also be setting, I think usually we'll be doing this through PDF questions. So we'll be just uploading a new worksheet every lesson that we've got because we've got 3 of these sessions a week. And then I think we'll be setting Mathletics a couple of times a week on top of that to be like your homework to be done outside of class time, just for something extra to do so you get to do a bit of maths every day. Anyway, good luck with this fraction work, have fun with it, and we'll be hearing from you online soon.